into, we want to end up with the clients taking these guys on board. But the first step is, if our teams don't accept it, then there's no point even trying to start. So the first bit is to the contract teams like yourself, Alan, to get on board with it. So the audiences are myself and Nick.
All right, awesome. And so you want to get them on board with it? Okay, go ahead.
And the outcome I'm looking for is for them to get on board. So, 1989, Berlin. Do you recognise Berlin Wall? This is actually a wee bit further on because they're actually starting to take the wall apart. The Berlin Wall, built in 1961, prior to the Cold War, separated two what had been one huge successful country into two totally divergent economies, one falling apart pretty much, and the other one doing very well, not even much. The history of the wall coming down was that Gorbachev realised that communism as it wasn't going to last too much longer, was looking for some kind of exit strategy. You had communist countries like Hungary, they opened their borders, their Iron Curtain got lifted as it were. But in East Berlin, heavily committed to the status quo, didn't get the message at all. So Erich Honecker, who was the principal of the country at the time, the Prime Minister, or we call him Chancellor, offered to let's keep the status quo going, but things are changing, so we'll tell them, we'll give them a wee soft, we'll say the wall will come down one day. Spread it around, it'll calm down all the riots that were going off in Leipzig and all the rest of it. There was a guy, Günter Schabowski, or Schabowski, because he's not American, he was still in Germany at the time. His job every week was to host a press conference to the world press and kind of dish out the party line. Some Czechoslovakian reporter had heard the buzz. He'd had his official briefing. The secretary who runs the admin for the press conference, so the equivalent of Georgie Howden, was saying to Gunter, "There's big news, you've got to read this script." Gunter, "I've been doing this since God was a boy, don't need to listen to anything." Went on to the stage. The Czech journalist said, "I hear the wall's coming down." Gunter hadn't read the script. The wall's coming down? Now, if it's official, can't be lying. So, well, yeah, of course, the wall's coming down. The boss said so. It's cool. It's coming down. Things are going to change. Well, no, change is good. When? When? Immediately. Right now. on that mistake, on that misrepresentation, the wall came down overnight. That meant the East German division between their sacred socialist economy was breached across the Iron Curtain inside 12 hours. Now, good thing, bad thing? From a capitalist point of view, good thing, because an economy that had been struggling, a population that had been in poverty right next door to one of the most prosperous countries in the world, suddenly, a whole new boost. It's on a roller coaster ride to prosperity. 20 years on, East Germany as it was, as it is. That one wasn't me. I was there. The guy said he'd grown up in Germany, his family's from Germany. He said, "We'll go up this tower, have a look out to the east, have a look out to the west, see how poor the east is." I looked out both sides. I think that's looking east. 20 years, it's unrecognisable.
Wow.
from this. Now, why is that important? It's because from the east came, in the east, there is an economy, there's businesses, everybody's out of work, but it's not going anywhere. Over in the west, these principles, these ideas, this energy, that creativity came into West Berlin, into East Berlin, and now the two are virtually indistinguishable. How that ties to what we're doing is we have some ancient assets out there, we have some brand new assets out there. The problem we have is a great deal of our thinking is stuck here. What we need is some of the thinking that will take us there. That's not easily available, but there are sources out there where we can easily tap into energy, creativity, skill, experience, and yet it doesn't happen overnight. But that's where we need to be. We need to find a way to do that, and a way we can do that has worked for us already is re-engineer. That's what I'm here to talk about today. The issue we have, according to the ECI-TV, our institutional body, we have 3,000 people offshore. According to ECI-TV, 40 to 60% of them are going to leave. So for our offshore workforce, by 2017, we will lose 1,200 to 1,800 of those folk. Scary numbers. How many apprentices did we recruit last year?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, trainees? Not entirely sure, but it's less than 100. Re-engineer, the difficulty with apprentices and trainees is it takes time for them to reach useful. By the time these guys are autonomous, the folk who can develop them further will have left. We won't have skilled, experienced, senior people with life skills, supervision, leadership, collaboration, team building, all that kind of stuff. They'll be gone. Re-engineer gives us folk who know how to do that, who know how to build teams, lead teams, develop people to go forward, to carry on. So although re-engineer brings people who might be anything from 30 to 40 years old, over the next 10 to 20 years, we build a leadership team who can train the next generation to give us a bright new future. For example, we have here, this is a Lancaster bomber. This is the last surviving, this is the last flying Lancaster bomber. It's part of the Battle of Britain Memorial flight. All these guys are the engineers, the ground crew who look after this thing. All these guys serve in the RAF, looking after Typhoons. Some of them might be familiar, looking after Apaches, Nimrods, any number. These guys have chosen to stay with the airplanes. And this is a tiny subset of the 20,000 service leavers that come out of the forces every year. A small subset is the aircraft engineers. It's these guys' colleagues that we're looking to take on. The reason I put that up there is compare Typhoon and Apache technology with Lancaster bomber. Compare the Buzzard platform, commissioned in 2006, Fearless platform. Me and the boys built that in 1980. We need folk who can adapt from Typhoon to Lancaster. We've done this before. So far, over the past 6 years, we've recruited somewhere in the order of 50. We've gone back more or less at the request of clients direct. Turnover, and what's it? We've got an idea of the churn rate for offshore, average. What's a sustainable churn rate for staff turnover?
7%?
7%, do you know?
Well, I don't know. Is it 7? Is it
7?
12? 4?
We're running at 1.5% at the moment.
1.5%. So we'll call that good. Out of those 50, we have lost a total of so these are people who chose to join us, chose to take on an industry they know nothing about. They brought the skills, the adaptability, the resourcefulness from there. 3 of them have left. 1 of them came to Merce because they offered him £10,000 a year more than we were paying him, and he wasn't finished his training. The other one is family reasons, and the first guy to leave actually bottled out, didn't do the course.
Well, he doesn't count.
We signed him on, so he actually had a
Okay,
PSN
all right.
contract, and he changed his mind.
Well, I appreciate your honesty.
In the meantime, 2 of the recent cohort are already promoted. 1 is on his way to being a Shell ISC team leader. These are quality, committed, resourceful, adaptable people. These are the folk we need on board, and we need them on board as soon as we can possibly get them. My call to action to you is that we need to find ways to get our offshore team to replace these guys now. So, in summary, I've met a few of these. Interesting, we've talked about the adaptability of these guys going from hyper-modern technology to stuff their grandfathers were flying in. We've looked at the turnover. The parts are is really more about what do you call it? When folk don't leave. Security of employment. We looked at of our 3,000 people, 12 to 1,800 are going to leave. We've only got 30 apprentices coming to the system this year, hopefully the same again next year. And for that reason, the engineer is something we need to get on board with now. Thank you very much. What do you think?
Yeah, you know, I'm shocked. We recruited 30. Does that mean that they just weren't available? Does that mean we're not very good at recruiting? What is that?
There's issues around this campaign is aimed at getting out to the client to get them to commit to allowing us to develop a workforce. Typically what we're up against is the client says, I'm paying for a workforce of, say, take an installation, ops and maintenance crew is 60 people. All 60 of those people will be 100% productive, they will all be competent, they'll all be capable. I'm not paying to train your workforce.
Right.
Okay, so we've tried the argument. I think when we make the argument, I think to very high levels, the upper echelons get it, but the resistance happens when you get back down to kind of frontline supervision offshore. And their issue is, what do you want? Do you want oil out the ground? Do you want these machines to run, or do you want me to nursery somebody else's trainees?
Right.
So the argument we've got to get is somehow maybe change our business model, our offering slightly, so that we can build in some time for staff development that doesn't impact productivity.
Good point.
So that we can go to clients and say, we can do this, we can assure your future, we can take you to a bright new future, but you have to allow us to invest in our workforce.
All right, this sounds like a good idea. I'm buying in. But you got to give me the call to action, right? Because this is, just so everybody knows, this is typical. You say, what do you think? There's a discussion, and it's up to you to bring me back around. Well, since you agree, here's what I need you to do.
Okay. So you're, right, what I need you to do is to get the senior members of your team together so we can sit around the table and work out a plan to take to your key client representatives and persuade them that this is what we need to do.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Give me a hand. Hey, the day just got a whole lot lighter, didn't it?